Still devastated.
I mean, honestly, the vicarious connection you have to a corrupt 13 felony convicted former governor of Illinois is strange. Very strange.
People are still talking about it. People still are upset about the resentencing. They thought at least he'd get 2 or 3 years knocked off of his sentence. Instead, Judge Zagel kept the sentence as it was, 14 years in prison, then 2 years supervision afterward.
This is what we have. We have a kleptocratic political culture in Illinois where we're supposed to sympathize with the kleptocrats, the head kleptocrats and those that propagate the culture. We're supposed to sympathize with corrupt politicians. We're supposed to obsess about the length of their well-deserved prison terms rather than deal with any of the underlying destruction they have wrought. It's fascinating to me, but it explains why we have what we have, and it explains why I believe that we get the representation we deserve, and I guess we continue to a large extent. Sam Adams Jr., who, along with his father, were Blagojevich's criminal defense attorneys in the first trial in which there was a hung jury. He had a reaction yesterday.
Oh, yeah. He went to the
Zagel decision.
Yeah, was not happy.
What are we telling our people? What are we telling our children? This man gets 14 years for not getting one dime of political corruption money. Is that really worth it? Is that what we're really supposed to expect out of our society?
Yeah, and we're now happy to be joined by our friend Sam Adams Jr. Sam, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good morning. I appreciate you guys asking me to come on.
Sam, so, yeah, is that what we're supposed to teach our children, that corrupt politicians go to jail? We're not supposed to teach them that?
Well, no, that's not exactly. Obviously, you didn't hear what I was saying, which is, of course we do. Of course, if you are going to be convicted of political corruption, there's a price that you have to be paid. Now, the only thing you and I disagree on, Dan, is what is that price? And what are we teaching people when you have made amends and you said, I've made mistakes, and you go out and you try to help others, and the appellate court reverses 5 of those convictions? What are we telling people about redemption? What are we telling people about trying to make amends for your mistakes? And can we as a Judeo-Christian society look at this and say, you know what, he should get some credit? Whatever we can sit down and debate how much credit it is, but he should get some credit for the reversal of those counts, which he was convicted of, which were taken into account for his first sentencing. And when he comes back for a second sentencing, he should get credit for that. What are we telling our children?
Well, let me ask you. Let me ask you a question, Sam, though.
Of making amends.
So let me just follow up that. The 14-year sentence on the 13 felony convictions, that's well within the sentencing guidelines, isn't it?
As they were presented and as what Judge Zagel said he was going to take into account, which was the $1.5 million, yes, it is.
Okay.
All right.
The
So
only thing you and I disagree on is that what the judge should have done.
Well, and everybody was thinking that he'd get 2 to 3 years at the very least knocked off his sentence. And Judge Zagel insisted that Rod never admitted that he committed a crime, although he was remorseful. What did you hear during Rod Blagojevich's speech to the judge?
He said, I now realize, I was there, I watched it, I heard it. I now realize that this was all of me, mistakes that I have made. At the time, I truly didn't understand the consequences for my actions, but now that I am a broken man, now that I have looked and seen what's happened, I made the mistake, and there is no one to blame but me.
Yeah,
now,
but Sam, just on that point, I didn't realize at the time the consequences of my action, really. I mean, he's a member of Congress before he was governor. He certainly understood Chicago politics. He was an observant of Illinois politics. The governor that preceded him went to prison on corruption charges, and in addition to untold numbers of Illinois politicians during his time in politics. And he doesn't understand that you're not allowed to shake down people for campaign contributions?
Well, Dan, apparently the judge didn't either because he misinformed the jury what the law was, and it got reversed by 5. So this is not a cut and dry. This isn't a murder. This isn't where you run into your ex-wife's home and you hold her captive. These were questions of campaign contribution, and even the judge, according to the appellate court, got it wrong. So to say that it's not something that you can make mistakes of, and even if you did and you now understand the consequences of what you did, he shouldn't get credit for that, Dan?
But 13,
is that really where we are as a people?
13 felony convictions. 13 felony convictions. They didn't get that wrong, did they?
Do I think they got that wrong? I certainly do.
Okay, but the courts disagree with you.
Yeah, but they didn't enter in all of the evidence. Why didn't they play, not to sound like Rod Blagojevich, but why didn't they play all the tapes? Why did they get to cherry pick what snippets that they wanted to appear in court before the jury?
And Amy, if you're wrong, why can't we hear him now? Why is there a protective order now? He's been sentenced. He's doing 14 years. Why can't we have a real debate on whether I was right 6 years ago that if you play the tapes, you will see that he had advice from counsel that he could do these things. Nobody talks about that. Why is there a protective order now?
What about the tapes? What else is on those tapes? I know Rahm Emanuel testified in his second trial, but that was rather uneventful. It seems to me there was a lot of rumors at the time, if I'm recalling correctly, about interaction between the governor and the governor's people and Rahm with respect to that Senate seat. You know, one of the reasons that you have a lot of people suggesting that he should have had a reduced sentence is because they see him being prosecuted and others who they think may be guilty of similar crimes going on scot-free. And I wonder if you agree with that and think there are other people that Blagojevich interacted with that should be implicated as well.
Well, of course, there are people that could be implicated. In fact, the charge was that Jesse Jackson Jr. at the time had offered the $1.5 million, and he never got charged with that, while Blago gets the credit for what his people offered. So there's certainly that. Now, I cannot get into, as of right now, I cannot get into what the specifics were on the tapes because I will run afoul of the protective order.
We won't tell them. We won't tell Judge. We won't tell Judge Zagel if you tell us.
I'm sure he's listening to your program, and everyone listens to you.
Yeah, but when was this protective order going to be lifted? I mean, this is ridiculous.
They have moved for it to be lifted. It has not. Now that the sentencing has gone through, the Supreme Court of the United States had previously said that they wouldn't take it, but they gave a small caveat. My understanding is that because the sentencing was still up in the air. So I'm sure that Leonard Goodman and Lauren Caseberg fabulous lawyers are going to take this up to the Supreme Court and ask again. Once it's over, that should be lifted. Do
you think if the full tapes were released and everybody got to hear everything that was on them, would you characterize information we have not heard to date as explosive?
I'm not going to say it's explosive. Now, I can tell you this, Dan. It goes right to your point, and this is what we wanted to be able to have an opportunity to argue was, it went right to whether or not he thought what he was doing was criminal activity when he's getting advice from legal counsel to do the things. And we tried to raise that. They wouldn't allow us to raise that defense. We put it in there. This is not something where it's one or the other, that we had legal advice to take these particular actions at the time. And the ruling was, since the individual wasn't a criminal lawyer, which is not what the state of the law is, my understanding, he's not allowed to present that defense. And when these tapes are played, you're going to see what I'm saying. It wasn't cut and dry.
Well, why do you think Judge Zagel decided not to temper justice with mercy and reduce his sentence a little bit in this instance?
Well, I honestly believe, because I'm not as cynical as a lot of people are, I truly believe, just like you and I, Dan, I think he just has a difference of opinion as to what this carries. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to be cynical and say he did it personally. I know I've told people before, you can blame me. I should have won the first time around. I'm a tough lawyer. I should have done a better job. But with that said,
you're 11 jurors short.
Have a difference of opinion of what this carries.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair. Okay. All right.
Yeah. No, and then is he going to take this up to the Supreme Court?
Oh, there's no question they are. I know that Leonard's a fighter. I know that he's going to take this up. And the truth of the matter is, and I wanted to tell this to all your listeners and you guys too, whether you like Blagojevich or you don't, or you like the censure or you don't, this is something that affects us all. What's going on with political contributions affects us all. And this is something we should try to push forward, and let's get rulings so that our political officials know, cut and dry, what they can do, what they can't do. I hate political corruption. And one of the things that I'd like to see is real reform on campaign contributions connected to contracts. We cannot have contracts connected to people who give campaign contributions. And if we can get to the bottom of that, we will change the culture in Illinois.
All right. Well, it sounds like a bit of a campaign speech, Madam Jr.
Going to run for mayor, maybe, Saddam?
Dan Prost for mayor.
Boy, my first endorsement. All right. And I suppose that will include some pro bono legal work, because you know how Chicago works, Sam. All right, Sam Adam.
What was that, Dan? I couldn't hear that.
I said I suppose that endorsement comes with some pro bono legal work, too, on my behalf, because you know how Chicago works.
I don't understand that word. What was the word?
Okay, very good. All right, Sam Adam Jr., criminal defense attorney. Sam, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, you guys.
Thanks, Sam. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I know. I love Sam Adam Jr. He's filled in with
colorful.
you.
He's
He's
fun.
filled in with me. It's all good.
And he endorsed me for mayor. How
And
about that?
Dan Proft for mayor. What could go wrong?